Facebook, and then we got
Evil Facebook is right.
as you can hear, Eddie George is already hooked up with us, and we'll be as soon as I can get this typed in. We'll as I can barely run these things myself. I hate typing, as most of you know, that I say on a regular basis.
Yeah, because we know Roy. He's a redneck, first redneck on the internet. He uses a flip phone with rotary dial.
Thanks. You're going to kill my reputation here.
I wouldn't do that
we'll
to
see
you,
that.
Roy.
Here we go. There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock. Live at 5 o'clock, I should say, on IE Newswire, Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube on that. Today's a great day as I'm running around doing stuff, and I haven't done that. It's absolutely fantastic that I can have Eddie George on the line, because then I can rely on him to do the first half hour of the show, and then Susan Shelley will come along at the bottom of the hour, and I won't have to do much except try and run these dials and keep things going. But as I said, that crazy guy with a lazy eye who heads up Hemet News along with Lori, John, Alex, and a bunch of the crew on there. Welcome to IE Newswire with Roy, Eddie George.
What's up, Roy? How are you doing today?
All I hope is the sky's up, because if it's not, we're all in a deep blanking trouble.
Oh, yeah, I know it. I tell you what, talking about trouble, man. We got some good footage last night of some trouble out here in Hemet.
Yes, let me see if I can dial it up. Yes, I've got it ready to go here. Let me play it. I'm going to start here at the 2:36 mark, like you told me. So,
well, before
go ahead.
Start it, I want to let everybody know what actually happened. We got a call. Officer Hyatt with Hemet Police did a traffic stop, and when he noticed that there was 5 black male subjects in the vehicle, he immediately called for a 1110, which is a backup. And 2 other units did respond, and when they got there, they started taking everybody out of the car, detaining them. And where you start the video at, you'll see that they're actually pulling out the 5th subject, and the 3rd subject that they pulled out of the vehicle was sitting on the ground with the other guys. And while they're pulling out the 5th one, he decides, you know what? I'm not hanging around for this, and I'm going to get out of here. And he just jumped up and foot bailed. And I just so happened, I pulled my camera out the wide angle and caught the action as he was running, and PD started running after him. And then, of course, I jumped out of the truck, and I started running after him, trying to catch it all on camera. And you see the real live PD action here on Hemet News here in Hemet of our officers doing a great job. And I was lucky to catch it all in action. So it's going to start off right here where I told you it's 2 minutes and 36 seconds of the video. Go ahead and roll that.
You got it. Here we go. There we go. As we're seeing the footage with that. Caught live on camera by Eddie George. Looks like we're running through a shopping center.
That was actually, it was over there in the Old Plaza area by...
yeah, I see Pep Boys up there.
Taser out, taser deployed.
I don't see your video, though.
Oh, there you go. Got to hit the right button.
Yep.
There you go.
We're going to try to get Roy to replay that for you guys.
We got him.
Okay, I'm going to roll it back again. Here we go. There you go. Now we're starting from the beginning. Narrated, Eddie.
All right. Well, you're kind of a little delayed.
just
What I'm seeing right now is where the police are actually have him tased. He already ran. Let's see. I think. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Police are now running after the guy, as you see. I'm kind of a little behind delay of your thing, but he takes off to the parking lot. Police
Taser
ends up
out,
chasing
taser
from the
deployed.
parking lot. I jump out of the truck, go after the guy.
We got him.
somebody's breathing awful hard. Is that you?
Hey, I'm a cameraman. I'm not used to running, and after I've been eating all these restaurants that are feeding me out here, and when I advertise, kind of put on some weight, so I was breathing pretty hard.
Well, maybe you'll lose that weight if you keep getting into incidents like this.
Right, exactly. But yeah, this guy, he didn't get very far. Our PD caught up with him quick.
Okay, as we switch back on that, tell us more about it, of what was going on here, and what you found out about these suspects, where they're from, and everything
Oh,
else.
well, we later found out during the night that the traffic stop ended up being 5 gang members from Moreno Valley. And when Officer Hyatt searched the vehicle, he found 3 guns in the car. And they were up to no good in our Hemet neighborhood. But, HPD kind of busted their joyride. All 4 went to jail. 1 person was released in the custody of his parents because he was a minor. So 5 people were detained. 4 was taken into the Hooskow.
Really? So, we're hooked up here between Moreno Valley and Hemet. They were running through that. So it's allegedly this was a drug deal going down, and that's why the cops
Well, I don't know if
chasing.
it was a drug deal or what, but I think I seen some drugs that was retrieved. Looked like the officer threw it up on the hood. I couldn't really get a good angle to get the
Right.
shot from where I was at, but the officer did make sure he held the guns up to where we can actually see the guns and get a shot of those. But I don't know what they were doing out in Hammett, what their motives was, but HPD kind of ruined their motives. They ended up in jail. Party busted.
There you go. Are you still there? No. Did I lose you? Something
Still
went.
here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I heard a beat, bang, boom on that. But yeah, no. We're still going on the part of that. It's absolutely incredulous on that, of what's going on. I wish more communities were getting stuff like this footage that you're showing, because it's been a contention of mine, and I've been to a lot of the public safety meetings out here and stuff of that. But we're not, in a lot of these cases, we're not getting the full story of what the impact of the crime that's actually going on out there, and what the officers are having to do with that. If you don't see it, out of sight, out of mind, people don't necessarily do it. But this stuff's going on a daily, nightly basis in all of our communities, Eddie George.
Yeah, and that's why we're doing our show. If you follow us on actioninews.com, and that's Action EYE News, you see that on the bottom of the video. We're actually shooting a series out here with our local PD. I'm actually working hand in hand with Riverside County Sheriff's Department, San Jacinto Police Department, California Highway Patrol, and also Hemet PD. We show you the up-close shots of our guys, out there working. People, always talking about F the police, but when you need them, who's the first person you call, And we're out here to show you the real deal, live, raw, unedited footage of our police out here doing what they're doing, and the show is called The Shit in the Dark, because my motto is to show you the crap that's in the dark that our PD deals with. So it's a mimic show of the show called Shot in the Dark on Netflix. I know, shout out to Shannon Watts.
Yeah, well, you don't want to be stealing somebody else's title there.
I'm not stealing his title. I'm making fun of his show because I don't know. The guy never liked me from the beginning. He don't know. He never met me, but he calls me an old hillbilly. Yeah, that hillbilly out there in Hemet. And it's a competition thing. So I tell him, you know what? I'm going to show him what a hillbilly can do. So I tell him I'm going to show you the real shit in the dark instead of the shot in the dark. Some of their scenes were, set up scenes, to make it look good. My stuff is real deal, raw reality capture news. As it happens, you see it as our camera lens see it. It's no fake stuff. And it's showing you the real shit in the dark.
I don't know if I got this picture off of your page or something. Before we go further, tell me the story about the picture of you with the deer on the wall.
The deer on the wall. Let me go.
Yeah, look at the page. Just look if you've got my site up there on IEN. If you got us on the broadcasting, you see yourself is up there with the deer on the wall.
Where was I? I was out in Arizona somewhere, and we were featuring a wildlife place out there where they have bears, they have moose, they have elk, they have all kind of wildlife. The deer will come right up to you. You can pet the deer and feed the deer. Very cool place. And this was actually when you go into their office in their lobby, they have all kind of different animals, on the wall. And I seen that. I had to take a selfie with him.
I thought you might have had one, a trophy of that. I thought we might have to schedule a deer hunting session or something later on.
Well, yeah, I know, but if I shot something, it's going to be bigger than that. That's small game to compare what we're used to looking for out in Alabama.
There you go. Yes, there's real deer out there that you can that you can hunt on that, going back and forth of that. I just wanted to do that, and I know there's another story you wanted to cover. On this, it was a kind of disturbing one.
Very disturbing.
That you had up on Hemet News, and we'll put the links in the comments, but we won't roll the video on that. I mean, you can go look, you can go roll it. We'll have the links in there so you can look at it if you like on that. Let me see if I can find it. Yes. And
I'm actually going to be. I'm saving the video right now. I'm doing an update video of this scenario in Ozark, Alabama. What we're talking about is there's a veterinarian. We used to use this vet. It's called Andrews Avenue Animal Clinic or Animal Veterinary, something like that.
Let me see. Did you use it when you were in the Ozarks, or did you use it when you were in Hemet? Oh, okay.
Yes. I'm originally from Alabama. Well, not originally, but I lived in Alabama the majority of my life. And
right.
This vet is one of the main veterinarians that people use in Ozark and Dale County. And this vet, I never liked him. I mean, majority of his staff is really great. This he's more of a vet for animals as far as cattle, horses, and stuff like that. He'd go out and make calls. But he also does cats and dogs and stuff like that. And one of his employees got tired of seeing the abuse that this guy does with animals, especially with cats. He just does not have patience with animals. And if you're dealing with cats, folks, you know how cats are. They don't like to take medicine. They don't like to take shots, especially orally. And he's trying to hold this cat down, giving him the shots. The cat's fighting him. So he starts punching the cat in the head, slamming the cat down on the table. The cat falls down off the table and hangs himself with his, I guess, the IV thing, and the vet just walks out of the office. Now, there's another video that I'm uploading right now. It's going to be on Hemet, that's Hemet, inews.com. It's HemetInews.com with EYE instead of the letter I. And that video will be available in a little bit. I'm saving the video now to upload it, but it's got two videos included where the guy you see the employee hides her cell phone in the office and captures this on camera so she can make this go viral and get something done about it. And we posted that video with another video. She had two angles with cell phones. And the second video actually shows the veterinarian getting so aggravated, he grabs the lead that he has around the cat's neck and picks him up and hangs him in the air whipped by the leash. It's very graphical. If you can't stand watching something like that, I advise you do not watch it. But we will be posting it up in a few. People in Ozark, Alabama has rowed about this. Right now, I got pictures that just came in. Everybody's down there protesting in front of his office. Sheriff Wally Olson, he's the sheriff of Dale County, Alabama. He's been contacted. He was actually at a ball game when one of his deputies brought the video to him, and he walked up to him at the bleachers and asked him, "Hey, did you see this video?" And he no, and he looked at it, and he automatically left the ball game, and he's down there right now dealing with this. They are under investigation for animal cruelty. Looks like he may be possibly going to be losing his veterinary license and be disbarred, and his animal clinic's going to be shut down. So, hey, I want to give a shout-out to the person that had the balls to step up and do something about it and take this video. And this video's went viral. TV stations are out there right now covering the protests, so we will be following this story all the way to the end and keeping you guys updated on what kind of actions that Wally Olson with the Sheriff Department is going to do.
Yeah, and again, warning, I did post the links to it, but the video is very shocking. And I mean, I could take a lot of stuff on that, but I mean, even I was thinking, man, this is ridiculous of what's going on.
Needs to be. I would love to have 5 minutes in the same room with Dr. Logan. I never liked him to begin with, and then when I seen this, I was like, no, I need to blast this guy. He needs to be known everywhere.
Exactly. I mean, that was some disturbing footage of that going on, because man, it is pretty horrific, and I agree. This guy needs to be a poster child of that. Do you know, since you've been in? I mean, and it's kind of concerning. How long has this guy been a vet? He looks fairly old.
Oh my God, he's been a vet there for years. I would probably say 20 or 30 years, possibly.
And it's kind of I mean, was he? Has anybody else made these accusations or anything about him, or did this just start recently? Or
this was just recently. A lot of things, like the lady says, what happens behind closed doors should not stay behind closed doors. And I don't think anybody knew that these animals were being mistreated while they were under his care. I know the owner of this cat did not even know about it until this video went out yesterday. And, yes, the owners are very upset, and they're also looking at a lawsuit against Dr. Logan.
Note to the audience, don't go to Vegas with Eddie, because what goes there does not stay there. No, but I'm not to make not to make light of the situation of the cat deal. But again, yeah, there are certain things that you don't talk about, or that are inappropriate to be, that need to stay closed or behind closed doors. But this, in my view of the vet thing, is not one of them. I agree totally. That this guy needs to be, hopefully it hasn't been going on for 20 or 30 years. Maybe there's something, physically or mentally wrong with the guy, or, he's suffering from a condition and can't handle it, or whatever. But whatever the case is, that situation needs to be investigated, and appropriate remedy that should be
You treat animals like that, Roy, you do not need to be a veterinarian.
No.
When you're working with animals, you have to have patience.
Yes.
And that's something he don't have. And when I seen that video, I told my brother Bill down here in Alabama, I said, I'm about ready to get a plane ticket and go down there, and visit this guy myself.
Yeah, I mean, it's a wonder. It's a wonder something like that doesn't happen. Going back and forth on that, because man, that's again, like you say, that's some pretty shocking stuff that's going on that incident going on up there. It just absolutely was incredible on that. It is on that. One of them, we covered this story, and there's the, along with the, along with the whole deal of Delta Airlines back in the deal of pulling out of the Major League Baseball game, and then putting it over supposedly in Georgia over voting rights when they move it to Colorado, which has more restrictive regulations in New York, where baseball is, and Biden and all that stuff. But and then now United Airlines is saying another thing. Now they're saying in a tweet, "Oh well, 50% of our are going to be people of color, whatever the hell that." I wonder. Go look at me as the sun's coming out. Am I now considered a person of color because my skin tone is getting a darker shade of brown?
Well, I don't know. When it comes to race, I'm colorblind because I see everybody one color.
Exactly.
God created us equal.
Hey,
if I cut you, with a knife, you're going to bleed the same color I do.
Exactly, and that's what I'm talking about in the United deal. I don't care. I don't care what religion, skin tone of brown, or whatever, who he's sleeping with, or not. Or any other, if he goes to church on Sunday or he's drinking at the bar on Saturday night, I do not care what the pilot does. All I care is he goes from A and safely lands in point B.
That's right.
And that's all the qualification a pilot. I want a pilot. Actually, I want a pilot, and like Sully or the guy, what was it, 10 years ago, that took off over New York, and the pigeons or whatever got in the motors and flamed it out, and he successfully landed that thing in the river there in New York, and then made sure he was the last guy off the plane. He walked up and down, made sure everybody was out safely, and everything else. That's the only qualification I want in the pilot. I could care less what sort of body parts are in the center of their body or anything else.
That's right. Get me from the ground back to the ground.
Yeah, that's all I. Yeah, I don't want, and especially in a position like that. I don't want. I want the best qualified person in the cockpit seat. And if you're going to start dropping standards, there's one thing about dropping standards for the guy taking your order at McDonald's. Okay,
exactly.
we can argue about that one or whatever, but when you're talking about this guy, a pilot, co-pilot, as what 2-3 up to 200-300 lives are in their hands, really, for that. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 24 hours if you're flying to Australia. They got your life in their hands. You're putting your life basically, in their control for that amount of time. And if I'm in that position, all I want to know is, again, I want the best pilot in there. And if you're not hiring the best pilots, guess what? I ain't flying on your airline. Period. End of story.
Got that right.
And, this is the kind of stuff that drives me absolutely insane of this stuff. And like you said, it doesn't matter. If you get cut with a knife or I shoot you dead or whatever, it doesn't matter who, what, or how done it or what. We're all, we all came in one way and we're all going out one way, the other, of the deal. It's what we do in between. And and again, this whole rhetoric of going on, and and you get the protesters and stuff. Going back to the story we started with, in Hemet, where you caught it on footage, them chasing down a suspect, going back and forth of that. It's like a cop. I don't care what they are. What they're doing on their own time or that, or I don't want. The only qualification I want to know is you got the best person that you can find in that job. That's all I care about. I don't care nothing else about no other nothing.
That's right. That's why you and I think alike, Roy.
That's scary, isn't it?
Hey, going back to the story of the animal clinic, do we have enough time for me?
Yeah, we got about 4 minutes left.
All right, let me see if I can add him on the call. He's just now texting me to call him, and I think he's got an update on the animal abuse story.
So we got Eddie George trying to get us a new one on that. Yeah, it is. That was again, the whole world seems to be becoming just unhinged in a lot of this stuff that we do every day. on this stuff as Eddie George is trying to
Okay,
dial
it's
us.
something else he's hitting me up, so it's not that.
It's
So,
not that.
back
Okay.
to you, Roy.
But no, again, it's like all this, all this wokeism and lockdowns and like the doofus Gulag Gavin governor came out yesterday. Well, if you're really nice and you really obey, we might let you out for 15 minutes for recess after June 15th.
That's maybe if you're good.
Yes, right. I mean, that's what we come down to a year after a year. Before it's, you didn't think about going to the store or the mountains or going to work or anything else. Now we're getting close, and I told you $5 a gallon of gas was coming not only in California, by the end of the year it's going to be across the nation with this stuff. If you don't pay attention, if you buckle under, like in everything, whether you got bad vets or whatever, you let this stuff proliferate. You let these major corporations put your life in the hands of somebody that's less qualified that they could have hired flying that plane. We're all going to pay the price for that, and it's not going to be pretty. Did I lose Eddie?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I lost you there for a second.
Are you out there, Eddie George? Oh well, if we can't get him, if we
Yeah,
can't
you
get him
there?
back or something on that, but we're just about out of time on that anyway. But heck, if we don't get him back, we won't get that great as we usually
Roy?
do introduction on that. But no, it's absolutely crazy of what goes on all this stuff
Hello.
each and every day that we go back and forth on this whole stuff. It's like the whole United Airlines, now coming out. Well, we're going to reserve 50% of our next pilot's trainings for people of color and women and yada 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 yada. Again, like I said, I do not care. I don't care what. All I care is you get the plane off the ground and back to the ground where we're going. Whatever you do on your time or that, I want in every position. We should be looking for the best qualified person to do the job. That should be the only factor that we're looking at, because it's the only one that counts. And if we allow this rhetoric that's been going on, like with Major League Baseball and the whole thing going on with that, with them pulling out, I really hope that we get to the point of we're not dealing with this stuff anymore. That we get to the point where we're looking at each other as one race, the human race, and let's do what's all best for all of us. Not this whole wokeism stuff has got to flip and go. There's just no other way around it. Because if we don't, we will definitely pay the price going forward if we keep letting this stuff go back and forth on that. Is it still going? I thought I had that on it should be clear. I'm hoping because I got two messages. It should be clear, but let me know if it's still coming through. As you said, thanks for Eddie George for being on, that crazy guy with the lazy eye, as we do every day we will see how and on earth we are going. Let's see if we can hook up. And we'll see if we got it. Yeah, I think we got it. So let me know, Jesse, how many seconds we have left. If you're hearing me.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
There you go. How many seconds I got left?
You got about 40 seconds.
40 seconds. Okay, on the deal on that. We'll be joining KMET on the Mighty Met 1490, as we usually do at the bottom of the hour coming forth. Again, thanks to Eddie George for being on, bringing all the great stories and news he does each and every day, and and we'll have Susan Shelley on right after.
10 seconds.
Right
Here we
after
go.
the bottom of the hour.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live on the Mighty Met, 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire on the aforementioned AM band. Join our vast video audience on IE Newswire and Twitch, Facebook, and the evil YouTube going across the dial on that. And a note to Jesse, we're going to have to figure out that cord at an 1/8" millimeter, because it always cuts off right at the time I'm playing the music to come you on. But we had Eddie George on the first half hour. We updated a suspects that were being chased in Hemet that were from Moreno Valley on there, and you saw Eddie George get 100% out of breath going forward on that. He said Eddie might need to get into better shape. The disturbing vet video he brought on, and we talked about the woke nation that we're becoming each and every day. It's absolutely fantastic. Least stupid, I should say, that we're doing on that. We updated the flight attendant, the story we brought you where the kid was kicked off initially for not wearing a mask, and then finally they come to their senses, or in Spirit Airlines, which I'm going to give you the of that. Spirit Airlines, great airlines, they finally come up and they kicked off the flight attendant for harassing the parents. So kudos to Spirit Airlines for doing the right thing on that, and rewarding the good behavior of their and respecting their customers, and not tolerating bad behavior from their employees on that, because this whole mask thing and mandates and everything else is driving them going on back and forth on the whole enchilada that we're going back. So we're going to try this, hopefully, as we do this once a week. We usually have on the editorial writer and columnist from the Press Enterprise, San Bernardino Sun, Inland Daily Bulletin, and Red Lake Daily Facts. But more important to me, Vice President of Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, Susan Shelley. Welcome to IE Newswire with Roy.
Well, thank you, Roy. Great to be with you.
Okay, people have been complaining a lot of beeping and stuff on that. Is the line clear on your end before we start?
It sounds okay on my end. How does it sound on yours?
Mine okay. If you roll, the audience, if you roll in on the comments on there, tell me if the beeping stopped, because I'm not hearing it over here. I don't know where it's coming from on that. But Susan Shelley, yesterday, Gulag Gavin Newsom came out and said, oh, well, if you're really good and you obey my mask orders and get a vaccine and who knows all what of, and probably he didn't put it in there, but I know what he was thinking. And if you don't vote for the recall, we might possibly let you out for recess 15 minutes a day after June 15th, Susan Shelley.
Well, he should not play poker, because he's not fooling anybody. This is just transparently political. For one thing, he's trying to make it sound like he's opening before he's opening. I mean, if it's safe to open, let's open. And what is going to happen between now and June 15th? I'll tell you what's going to happen. The school year is going to end. So if he doesn't allow the state to open until a week after the school year is over, then you can't have any parents calling up and saying, why isn't my school open? See? So it's all about protecting the teachers' unions, which across the state are negotiating these little individual reopening agreements and asking for their whole wish list of demands. In L.A., that included a $500 a month check for child care for everyone who works for LAUSD and has children 5 or under. They're going to get $500 for child care. Now, it's nice to get $500 for child care, but it's not in the contract. It's not in the collective bargaining agreement that was negotiated after the strike when everybody was trying to figure out how the district was even going to pay its bills because it's insolvent in year 3 of its budget papers, and the county almost took it over. Nonetheless, raises for everybody, and under the state budget law that was passed last June, I think, they have pegged the funding for schools in California to last year's attendance, not the current year's attendance, but the previous year's attendance, which means that even if no one shows up for school, the schools get the same amount of money. And no one can be fired. That was also in the budget. None of the teachers, none of the other employees of the school districts can be fired through June of this year, 2021. So even if the schools are closed and nobody's there, everybody gets paid. Even the bus drivers who aren't driving and the janitors who aren't working, everybody, the cafeteria people who aren't in the cafeteria, everybody gets paid through June, even if the schools don't open. And this is what Newsom is protecting. He's protecting all these public employee unions while the parents struggle and the kids are damaged. It's unforgivable.
Yes, it's absolutely incredulous of what goes on this stuff. And you mentioned it that the teachers are using this to hijack another 500, another benefit for them. Oh, well, we get, it drives me crazy. They said free, we demand free health or child care for our kids, yada, yada. No, it's not free. We are paying for it. It's a raise. And here's another detail I found out. 6 million approximately K through 12 students. 300,000 of them are gone over this whole COVID thing. And then who knows, you can check in on your Zoom for a minute or two and they counted attendance, but it really doesn't matter because now retroactively they are paying the school districts on their last year's attendance number, not this year. So school districts are getting fully funded at 20. I know it's over 25,000 K per student right now. It was at 20, but with all the increases in that, it's going to be or I haven't finished getting all the numbers out, but it's going to make your head spin when I do. But they're getting paid on top of this. They're raking in at least 20 to 30% more cash per student in every public school with having the schools closed.
Right.
On top of that, it cannot be costing them more to run the schools this year since March when they were closed down as it is now. Wonder where they're getting all this money to pay off the teachers. They're probably booking their Bahamas vacation now, ordering BMWs and everything else because they're probably singing "We're in the money."
Well, they kind of are in the money, and then there's all that federal aid that's coming in, which is going to the schools, and that does help with some of the extra expenses for distance learning if there are extra expenses. And all of this is happening while the schools that are really educating the kids, the private schools, some of the charter schools that are open, they are not getting the money that they're entitled to because all the funding was frozen at last year's attendance. So a school that has expanded, that has taken in new students who are leaving the public schools, they don't get a dime more. So they have to limit the enrollment. It's very difficult for them to manage the finances. And this has been going on for so long. Sometimes people can manage for a month, they can manage for 2 months, but there's a point, and we're a year into this. And so the private schools and the charter schools are hurting. The public schools are not open. And even when they're open, the way they define open defies logic. They define open as 1 day a week for one grade out of 3, and that counts as open, and they qualify for more funding for that. It's just really insulting.
I think, and I hope the tide is turning, because as I said, within a week, I think, of this, of March, of them pulling this, I said, schools as you knew them are going to be gone. And I said, and I've specifically beat the drum of, you better open up the schools, you should open up the schools, but I think, and I really think, and I was thinking, if there's ever a time we're going to reform education in the United States, this is the opportunity. And a new poll just came out. 72% of school-age parents are now looking at wanting a voucher, getting the money that they have, which in California right now is going to be over $25,000 if they gave you what they gave the public schools of that. They wanted 72% across the nation now are in favor of voucher school choice of going. I think this may be, maybe the teachers are cutting and the school districts are cutting a fat cat here in the last year, but I see the potential cracks that this may backfire on them, and the old "be careful what you wish for, you just may get it," Susan Shelley.
I think you're exactly right. There's a sort of natural inertia about changing big things that are difficult to change, but now it's all been forced on us. So everything is changing. Now that we're sort of catching up and showing what technology can do and showing how many different options there are when people don't have to drive long distances, and the schools are going to feel it also. Some combination of hybrid and home learning may enhance education in the future, and certainly this top-down model of a state curriculum enforced through local school boards with all of this stuff that parents haven't been happy about, it can all change. And it might change. And as you said, there could be significant support for some sort of an initiative that moves the funding direct to parents. That could happen. That could happen.
I hope that it does in this day and age as we go back and forth on this thing, because I think in a lot of respects, I think they have really, really, really exposed what's really going on. I think this last year has gotten the attention of parents. But another thing is this whole, baseball, Delta Airlines now, is joining in with with United. United's now starting this with the election laws and everything. The first column we're going to talk about is on that you have up across the Southern California News Group, Biden's erroneous stance on Georgia's election integrity law. Susan Shelley.
Yeah, this is interesting because this when you had given up on the mainstream media and you thought they're never, ever going to say anything true about Joe Biden, they do. And what do? They give him 4 Pinocchios, their worst rating, for lying about Georgia's new election law. He just repeated and repeated that it shuts down voting at 5 p.m. just when working people are getting off their shift, and all these other lies that he told. It is not true. Georgia has 17 days of early voting. When you vote early at a government office, they don't have to be open later than their regular business hours, 5 p.m. But on Election Day, it's the usual hours. And if you are waiting in line when the polls close, you still have to vote, just like everywhere else. There's nothing about Georgia's law that is in any way racist. And here's the President of the United States going on television over and over again calling it Jim Crow. Well, when corporate CEOs start getting calls from protesters and activists, and people start talking about threatening the company with boycotts and whatever else, they get very jittery. And so this parade of CEOs starts where they're all saying, we denounce Georgia's law. It's unacceptable. It's reprehensible. It's this, it's that. It was none of those things. Voter ID is not Jim Crow. According to the Rasmussen poll, 69% of African American voters support voter ID. And overall, I think it's 75 or 78% of American voters support the idea of showing a photo ID in order to vote. Why? Because everybody knows that there's tremendous money at stake in an election, money and power. And will people cheat? Of course they'll cheat. So you want to prevent that from happening. For everybody's sake, you want to prevent politicians from being able to cheat in elections. And that's what the Georgia law tries to do. And that's what some of these Democrats are trying not to do. The law that's pending before the Senate, which was H.R. 1, already passed the House, it would take California's automatic voter registration and ballot boxes and all the rest of it and make it the law of the land. Everything we're doing in California would be national. And that is just not the way it ought to be done.
Major League Baseball, you moved the All-Star game out of Georgia over this to Colorado, which has more restrictive laws than the law Georgia passed. Major League Baseball, your headquarters in New York, which has more restrictive laws than the laws Georgia passed on voting. Joe Biden, your basically home state of Delaware, where you reside, your residence has been for the vast majority of your life, has more restrictive laws than the voting laws passed in Georgia. Yet Biden says the Georgia law is worse than Jim Crow, where they killed people for voting. On top of that, to put that kind of rhetoric out automatically, if there was ever a reason to impeach a president for just being, that is not being wrong. That's just being plain evil.
Well, I don't disagree with you. He's trying to create the political conditions with the help of most of the media. He is trying to create the political conditions to pass this law in the Senate so he can sign it so that there will never be election integrity laws in any state ever again. It would take all the voter ID laws that are currently in 36 states and wipe them off the books if that passes. But that's not the end of it, because if you have a copy of the Constitution, turn to Article 5 and read that second part where it talks about how we can amend the Constitution without Congress, without the President, without the Supreme Court having anything to say about it. And the way it works is 2/3 of the states, that's 36, I think, 34 states, would propose a constitutional amendment, let's say, for voter ID. That all states must require a photo ID in order to vote. Let's say we put that in the U.S. Constitution. We proposed it as an amendment coming from 34 states. In order to make that part of the Constitution, only 38 states have to ratify it. And the Supreme Court can't do anything about it, the President can't do anything about it, the Congress can't do anything about it. If the state legislatures ratify that amendment, it's as much a part of the Constitution as if James Madison wrote it himself. That's how you get around this problem.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous on that. Just any more highlights? I wanted your latest column up, which we kind of covered a little bit, but anything you want to add is LAUSD puts the interests of UTLA ahead of everyone else again. And I might add, if there is any more racist person than Cicely Myert Cruz, the head of the United Teachers of LA, I would please let somebody else know, because that woman is personifies racism. But go ahead and tell us about that column.
Yes, UTLA has really been covering itself in glory since all of this pandemic stuff started. They've just been monsters. They've been selfishly looking out for themselves. They don't care what happens to the kids. They don't care about what happens to the schools. All they care about is more for them, more for the teachers and their sister unions who work for the district. And it's just really depressing because they went on strike in 2019. And then when they finished with the strike, they had this big negotiated agreement. The mayor of Los Angeles was part of brokering it, supposedly. They all come out of the room and they say, we come to an agreement that we must have more money. And then they go to the voters and they ask for a tax increase. It was Measure EE on a special election ballot. And it failed. Why did it fail? Because people in Los Angeles are taxed enough, and the schools are failing, despite all the money that's going to them. So that failed, and they were very upset about it. They were very upset about it. And now what they've done is they've used COVID as what amounts to a strike, because they won't come back to work till they get their demands met. And the difference this time is they're on strike on full salary. They're on strike without picketing. They're on strike until they get what they want, and kids can't go to school. This is so savagely unfair and so wrong. And I'm just shocked that there aren't more teachers complaining about it, because I know that teachers care about their students. The people who are in the classroom care about their students. Why are they not standing up against their union and trying to put a stop to this nonsense? That I don't know.
That has baffled me. Probably people want to shoot me over this, because I've said teachers where I hear, oh, it's the unions. No, it's not. The union's just representing them. And if you disagree with your union, why are you not speaking out? Why aren't you standing in front of the school at 8 o'clock in the morning saying, oh, unlock these padlocks on the gate, we're ready to go in, we're ready to do teaching. Up until that point, nothing's going to change. As far as and if you're concerned about education and not the dollars, then in my view, and I think any thinking person's a rational view, that's what teachers, if they're concerned about students, would be doing, Susan.
Well, I hope they do it this fall, because it's not clear at all that UTL is coming back to work in the fall. They're not coming back to work now, and it's not clear that we'll have a normal school year starting in the fall. So I hope that if UTLA does not actively push people back into the classrooms, not just say, well, we might allow them to come back if this, if that, end this nonsense, open the schools, everybody back to work, or find another job. If they don't take that kind of position, then I really hope that the teachers who are members of the union will look into a decertification election, which is their right under California law. They can decertify UTLA. They can be represented by the Teamsters or any other union that they choose instead of the leadership of this one. They can decertify the union. And they can also, if they want to individually, they can quit their union and stop paying dues to it and still keep their jobs and work under the same contract. That's the law also. So teachers have options, and I hope they will exercise them and try to save the public schools, because this is a path that will lead to the destruction of public education, and that would be a terrible tragedy.
Got about a minute left. Tell them why they should join Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association.
Oh, you have to join Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, because we are fighting to protect you and protect your home and protect you from higher taxes. And if you pay any attention to Sacramento, you know that's all they're doing, is trying to raise your taxes. And we will keep you up to date on how to stop it. So go to hjta.org, hjta.org, and sign up for the free email alerts. Become a member. Stay tuned, because we've got some exciting things going on this year. We will be fighting the battles for taxpayers. hjta.org. Strengthen the voice of taxpayers in California. Be a member.
Thanks for being on, Susan Shelley. We'll do it again next week.
Thanks, Roy. Take care.
Susan Shelley from Southern California News Group, going on of that with all her insights and great stuff. And and join Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. Said the fight's not ever over on this whole thing. Man, I think you got to take a hammer and press that hang up button on there, but. Because I actually, with this time, I actually moved the switcher box to get it to shut off. Maybe that's what the problem is. But no, it just as that. If Gavin Newsom was sincere, and if he was following the data and the science as he said, he would have came out yesterday when his press conference said, "This is over." Ha ha ha! I fooled you for a year or so, but. It's time to end this. It's time to get rid of the whole lockdowns, everything else, put our kids back in school, open the schools, get our education back, get us back to work, restaurants open full-time, sporting events, everything else. As we showed you yesterday in Texas, full stadium, 40,000 people at the baseball game. Well, the baseball game you shouldn't be attending. Well, that was before moving the All-Star game and all that. No, outside events, wall events, concerts, everything else. Open the darn things up. It's absolutely ridiculous that we're suffering through any of this. Not, well, are you going to require, as you ask a question about the schools, are you going to require them to be open on June 5th? No, I'm not going to do that, but we're hopefully and everything else. And even if he was, okay, we got to have some time to adjust stuff, but on June 15th, as Katie barred the door, no restrictions, we're done with this stuff, over and that. Might have grumbled a lot about it, but okay, at least there's a little light at the end of the tunnel, and we know when this stuff is going to be over, and we can plan for it. Now, it's still not, he put caveats on everything. Not just, well, if something severe comes on, no. Just, if we think, if we decide by our data and our phony facts, which when you have to present them in court get shot down or almost laughed out of court, when you have to produce the evidence on the science and data for closing schools, it was old, it was misrepresentative, misleading, as the judge in San Diego said. This is what we're faced with each and every day, going back and forth, and it's got to take my head together before it explodes. Well, thank Eddie George for being on that. The stories he brought us, Susan Shelley for updating us on her great columns on that. I don't know what else you can call it, but we'll be closing out this Wicked Wednesday, but be here tomorrow, back here in 23 hours, because we'll bring it back on Thursday, as we usually do, each and every day. So, be back here in 23 hours. Until then, see ya!
The proceeding was...
All right, see you tomorrow.
You got it.